There's a big empty hole there. And just for me, remembering those days of being with Chris, we had this thing on stage where we just became different people or whatever, Back in the day when we went on stage, we kind of lost ourselves in who we were, like we went on stage and, well, that's kind of what music's all about, right?
Welcome to The Creative Asylum, a weekly podcast that digs deep into the minds of visionary creators of all stripes. Musicians, actors, filmmakers, writers, artists, cartoonists, and cultural disruptors. Here, we'll discuss perspectives of living life on your own terms. Life lessons that keep us grounded and sane, and sometimes pull us back from the edge. So, take a deep breath, loosen your grip on the bland and the boring. This is your weekly prescription for authentic living, creative clarity, and hopefully, a little bit of cultural rebellion.
Side effects may include spontaneous joy, existential epiphanies, and an uncontrollable urge to do weird and beautiful things.
Welcome to the Creative Asylum. My name is Daniel House, and today's guest is a very old friend, Hiro Yamamoto. You may best know him as one of the founding members of the band Soundgarden, a band that he actually left in 1989. And from there, he went on and started a band with Mark Pickerel from Screaming Trees and one Robert Roth, a band called Truly. If you happen to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, you no doubt caught Hiro's awesome and fiery speech, which for me was the high point of the evening, ear-to-ear grin. This conversation is really exciting for me. We talk about the fact that Truly is about to go on the road for the first time in something like 10 years. They are going to start recording new material, so there will actually be a new record. We talk about the experience of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a little bit about Soundgarden, not that much. And also talk about his other band, Stereo Donkey, and just kind of how he looks towards the future in terms of his own music and his creative path. This is a terrific conversation. I'm glad you're here. Watch the whole thing. It's worth it. And yeah, just thanks for being here. So here we are. Hiro Yamamoto. Hiro, hello. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you, Daniel?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you don't do that many of these, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do a lot of those.
We'll see as time goes on.
As time goes on.
More people are wanting to talk to me all of a sudden. My life has changed in that respect, yeah.
And that's probably not something you always want to do, right?
Well, I don't mind it so much anymore. I'm kind of embracing it right now.
I think you should.
I'm in a band, so when things happen, I kind of feel like, hey, I wish I had a voice. And it never felt like, because of who I am and it just living in where I live and just kind of out of the public eye, I always felt like, man, I wish I could say something. I wish somebody cared about me saying something. And I just felt like I didn't have a voice. Millions of people. I mean, the world's full of people who want their voice to be heard, obviously, right?
Sure.
And that's really what life is about, is having your voice heard, right?
Some people want to hide quietly in the shadows.
But a lot of people suffer because their voice isn't heard. And so, and for me, it was, And so now I am embracing it because I'm like, you know what? I want to tell people what my life is like and about just my experiences. And it's enriching to people to hear my stories.
It is.
You know what I mean?
And, you are part of a history that's incredibly important for a lot of people.
For music and just me racially and stuff like that. I mean, to me, it's all important. And I'm glad that people are actually listening to me. I'm so thankful. I mean, really. So I'm in a position where I'm actually embracing that now. And,
I think that's fantastic. Speaking of your voice, you and I talked about this not too long ago, but, I had a big ear-to-ear grin on my face. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction speech that you made, I think I mentioned to you that I thought everybody spoke, but for me, it was all about what you had to say, and I was just right on, man. That's so awesome. And it's like, most people don't have a platform from which they can really say the things that need to be said, and these are some really trying times,
Yeah, right. And I'm not saying I have the solution for immigration at all. I think we need a huge discussion about it. But when you have a militarized force on the streets and they're breaking people's doors down and just being brown, the fear of being brown becomes something it's just ridiculous. And I, my family has this history that is very unique in this country.
Right.
to be citizens and to be imprisoned.
You had members of your own family during the Second World War who were interned?
During World War II, yeah, my entire family. So this is my mom and dad, my aunts and uncles, grandparents that were alive. The grandparents, see, the grandparents weren't citizens, right? The children were all citizens. My parents were all citizens, and and their brothers. But so the grandparents had to renounce their citizenship to Japan, but they were unable to be citizens of America. So there was a period of time until they were able to become citizens that they were people without a country. And so, and I have some of my grandfather's letters. He worked for the Santa Fe Railroad. He was the foreman of his crew, kind of, because he could read blueprints. He was a machinist. And he went to Chicago, and he described working in this place where they gave him a hacksaw, a hammer, and an anvil. And those were his tools to fabricate things out of metal. And then this is a machinist, and he wrote this letter, and these were letters he wrote in English. So his English wasn't that great, but he says, I wish I could have my crew back in Winslow again. He longed for the days, because he's working. He said, I go to work and nobody talks to me. I'm working with all these German machinists. They didn't go to prison,
right?
And nobody talks to me, and they give me the worst jobs. That's the kind of stuff my family lived with, and just for me knowing what they came out of camp and being hated in this country. Yeah. And that rubbed off on me. It brings tears to my eyes even today, because it really affected my life. I used to be afraid to go to our shopping center because somebody would always come up and say, "Get the hell out of our country." Or, like, we fought wars to keep your people out of here.
This is in Chicago or Illinois?
This is in Park Forest, Illinois. And it didn't happen all the time. And the other thing, my life was really blessed. I mean, I had friends. I was kind of popular. But those people who hate us, they make it obvious, and they make it really rough for you. So for all the love I got from people, which was 99% of the people, right? You get that 1% of the fear, and it really affects your life. So, I'm still grappling with that today. I got to say, that's why I'm talking about it now. But I just for me, look at how many people in this world live this way, and everyone's experience is different. If you're Native American, your experience is different than being Black, than being Hispanic. There's every different ethnic group, the Filipinos, like all of us people, all of us Asians, we all have different experiences. They're very similar, but we all have this kind of like, how do we fit into this world?
Right. The similarity seems to be that all these people you're describing is they're all being othered. And why does that even have to exist anywhere in the fabric of our society?
Yeah. And so that's why I say the Seattle scene was very non-othered. Like we were part of that, me and Kim.
Right.
And that's part of this whole thing is like, I'm very excited and really thankful that I was part of something that was so encompassing and allowing people of all types to get into. And so that was a special time for us, right? Yeah.
It was incredible. When you were first asked to be part of that whole ceremony, for you, is it like pretty quickly like, I have to use this opportunity to really say something that needs to be said? Or did you arrive at that after a little bit of thinking?
After some thinking. But I also, I didn't want to just go up there and say, thanks. I love being a rock and roll dude. And that's the whole other thing. It's like, I've lived my whole life going like, I am the least rock and roll dude of anybody, especially when I didn't have long hair, right? Like right now, that's kind of my signature. But when I had short hair, I was a geek. And so it's like, it's funny. It's like they gave me the rock and roll card, Daniel. I got this card that says I'm a rock and roller. But I'm still, I'm still me. It was kind of interesting because I didn't think of that at first because I kind of felt like, I was more like, I'm going in with those guys. They did all the work. I'm part of it, obviously. I'm an important part of it. They're the ones who wrote the gold records and the platinum records and the big hits and the stadium tours. And so...
True. But would they have ever gotten there had you not been part of that initial, the nucleus of the whole thing,
Which is cool that I'm recognized for that, right?
I think it was really great that they made a point of including you because they could have said, whatever. And I think a lot of people would have been really incensed had they not done that. I think for a lot of people that was like, good move. That was
Yeah.
cool of you. And they should
Well,
have.
and to be there, we met Nicky Hopkins' wife,
Oh, yeah.
and so he's getting inducted after all these years, and
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, I would never be Nicky Hopkins. They would never put me in 20 years later. No way.
Mhm.
I mean, like, I would never be known, right? So,
Right,
like,
right.
and so I'm like, I'm sure glad I'm going in now because I ain't gonna go in like Nicky is.
So was
So
it cool? I mean, I think I mentioned to you sort of in preparation for this that like I've always said like, oh, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's such bullshit. It's just so lame. Until suddenly it's my friends and they're part of
and
it.
now
And
it's
I'm
pretty
like,
cool,
yeah,
isn't it?
suddenly I'm like this huge cheerleader.
Same
And
here.
I'm like, I gotta watch it. And I was like
I'm
so
gonna watch what I
excited.
say. I'm gonna watch what I
Everybody
say,
I
but
knew was excited. And then you got up there and I'm like, yeah, like I think I like jumped up from the couch and was like cheering the TV, I'm like, right on, man. That's so
I
cool.
can't believe I delivered that, Daniel.
You
I
delivered
really
it
still to
beautifully.
this day, I can't
Beautifully.
I did that. I really pulled that off.
You did.
And I felt the crowd just erupt.
I
Like, they
bet.
kinda like, they did what you did. They were like, "Fuck yeah, we needed to hear that."
Yeah, and it was fun
uh,
too, because like watching Matt's expression while you were saying, he was like, yeah, it was cool. It was so cool. So
Yeah.
was that whole thing was just like cool and wild and trippy? Like,
Oh, what an amazing event. Really.
yeah,
Just the rehearsals, getting ready for it, was cool because I hadn't played with Soundgarden since I left.
yeah.
So it'd
And
been
what year was that? Like 90?
89,
It was that long ago. Okay.
89. So, I can't, how many is that? 37 years, something like that? 36 years. So, it'd been a long time. And it was
Wow.
weird that I had this kind of weird, like, damn, this is kind of odd. But like, I go in there and Ben's super, Ben is the sweetest to me. He treats
Uh-huh.
me like a god. So, and he's
That's
all,
fine.
and he's, to me, I treat like, damn, he is so unique in the way he
Yeah.
approaches everything and the way he
Yeah.
talks, the way he
Yeah.
thinks. I think he's a god. But you know what I mean? It's like, so he's got all this admiration for me. I got it for him too. Anyway, but they're super nice to me. And then, just like wondering what it's going to be like playing with Kim, but
Uh-huh.
we start playing and at first it's kind of like, damn, this is a little weird. But like in seconds, it all like, boom, this sounds like Soundgarden. And I'm playing Black Hole Sun, a song I don't even play on.
And was that just decided ahead of time, or was there any discussion
Yeah, that
like
was
what
all,
should we
'cause
play?
they wanted the hit. That, the Soundgarden guys wanted a song that I played on, but, the R&R, they kind of
Right.
make determinations based on airplay. But it was really cool. Taylor Momsen I was really impressed with her. She was
Uh-huh.
super sweet. I mean, her crew was awesome to us. Me and Kate, they were just really nice to everybody. And just like, I got my hair cut by her hairdresser, before
really?
the show. Yeah, Kate did too. They're like, she's like, come down to my room and get your hair cut.
Cool.
But they were, she was just so sweet and down to earth. And what an amazing singer.
Yeah.
Brandy's her own thing, but I was really impressed by Taylor. She was really cool and just a really good person. So that was really fun.
What does that feel like playing in a band that you used to play with and then having a singer that is kind of taking the place of Chris?
That was it had to have been harder for those guys who had been playing
Sure.
with them all those years. But
Right.
there was an empty hole there, Daniel.
Yeah.
There is a big empty hole there. And just for me, remembering those days of being with Chris, we had this thing on stage where we just became different people or whatever, Back in the day when we went on stage, we kind of lost ourselves in who we were, like we went on stage and, well, that's kind of what music's all about, right?
I was just going to say,
Still
yeah.
try to do that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do now. It's like you try to lose yourself in the moment so the rest of the audience can lose themselves in the moment. That's really what it's all about.
Although, do you have to even try? Like, if it's a band and it's clicking,
Oh yeah, you
it
don't
seems
try.
to
I
be
mean,
that's the thing that just happens.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's all about.
And there's also that kind of psychic thing that happens between people and the kind of shorthands that you do musically that are unspoken and
Yep.
that telepathy.
Yep.
And I've always loved that about
Yeah, really, it's really cool.
like I think every good band that just sort of happens and it's unique to the people,
Yep. You have your own way of communicating physically through space or whatever. It's really cool. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
yeah.
I thought that was amazing. I was excited for the whole band, but I had kind of a different level of excitement for you specifically, just because like, and I think the entire universe that saw that was like so psyched that you said what you said in the way that you said it because it needed to be said. And
Yeah.
to this day, it continues to need to be
Need to be said. And I don't have an answer for it, but I just know we got to talk about it. And rounding people up is not right. And the other thing is, look who builds this country. And there's two things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Who builds this country? Who has built this country? All the Asian and brown immigrants from around the world have always been treated as second-class people. The railroads. My grandfather.
Right.
There was a strike between the Filipino, the white, the Chinese, and the Japanese laborers in camp because they were all different factions. They're all getting paid different amounts.
Wow.
And this is in the 20s, right? 30s. And, that's the kind of thing. These races were pitted against each other.
Right.
Working together on plantations and the railroad, all that kind of stuff. So there's this animosity between each other, but just that treatment is everybody's fighting for their own slice of pie against each other instead of trying to partake in it. So there's
even
that.
White immigrants when they were first flooding in, the Italians were second-class citizens.
Yeah, the Irish were second-class citizens.
It's like, unless you're Native American, every damn person is actually an immigrant. So every person who's othering and hating and just being racist or xenophobic, it's like, do you even know anything about your own heritage?
Well, just the fact, this is the fact that we kind of refer to my parents as immigrants, but not white people's parents as immigrants. We're all immigrants.
Yeah, we're all immigrants.
And
frankly, who gives a shit? It's what makes a society more interesting.
And so there's that, and the other, and just this, for me, most immigrants, 99% of them come in with this idea of the American dream.
Sure.
Of being treated equally, of being able to succeed and to aspire to your dreams, to live freely. And that's what our immigrants come here dreaming about. And they're such idealists and they love this country. And so that to me is the disheartening part of this, is you're taking these people who love the ideal of what we're doing and you're just squashing it.
These people who actually have an intense sense of pride of being part of this.
That's what happened to me. I'm not talking to these people. This is what happened to me. It's like, a lot of my idealism went into cynicism. That's why I'm a fucking punk rocker,
But an optimist at the same time.
Yeah, I'm very critical of what's happened, but optimistic that we're going to make this place better, definitely. And we do that with dialogue,
I believe we will manage to get through all of the horrors that we're enduring at the moment.
Yeah, but man, we're looking at worldwide civil war here, Daniel. It's looking really rough out there in this world. It's very divided.
We shouldn't have to be going through it at all.
Yeah.
It's disheartening. And it's difficult.
So anyway, but I'm glad that my thing on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was taken well. I think it needed to be said. I think I have a unique experience that's able to say it to people in a way that it helps them understand. And that's kind of why I'm kind of embracing the moment. I kind of have a unique story. That whole internment thing and me growing, for as much as I had great friends and I was popular, there was a lot of racism involved in me growing up.
So were your parents actually interned?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were. How long were they in a camp?
They were in there for about 2 years, a year and a half, something like that. The funny story is my aunt was working for the county of Bakersfield. She worked for the county clerk's office, so she knew that they were going to be rounded up. She volunteered my family to go first. She went to camp and she helped register all the people because she was a clerk. She was a secretary. So she spoke Japanese pretty fluently. So she helped register everybody and get all their names written down properly. She was actually kind of treating it like, well, we got to go, but we're going to make the best out of it. They were almost in a way thinking this is going to be okay. We're going to, we'll go to this camp. We'll have some, and they'll figure it out and they'll let us back out again. But the Japanese community there took out a article in the Kern County paper for Bakersfield, and just stated their allegiance to America, how they believed in the American dream, that all people should be treated equally. They understood why they were being sent away. They were willing to go, but they also said we are willing to fight and die for your country, for our country, our country. So they took that article out in the newspaper.
Good for them.
Before they went away. So that's the kind of patriotism that was with these people who are being sent away as foreign enemies. Right. It's really weird. My uncle ended up, he was kind of this boy genius, and he got into electronics during the transistor boom, and he worked on the Nike missile project, helping to defend us from bombs from Russia. So, like, here's a guy with a top security clearance who was once interned as an enemy alien. So, that's the way this world works. But that's about, our story is about perseverance and optimism, really. I mean, I gotta say it's about optimism. So,
well, my optimism is that these people that are currently in the White House and running our country will eventually all be gone. And my optimism is eventually some of them are going to see the inside of a prison cell.
Well, so hopefully they deserve it. Believe me.
Yeah. Well, something I keep saying about Pam Bondi is like, I wonder if she knows enough about political history to know that while Nixon didn't go to jail, his attorney general did.
Who did it? Yeah.
So, just saying. If you're enjoying this conversation, please make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It's the quickest way to grow our channel, and it's absolutely free. You can also subscribe to our other channels on social media. Check out our Instagram at Creative Asylum CA, that's the letter CA, or on TikTok at The Creative Asylum, that's all one word. Our website is thecapod.com, and our Facebook profile is the same, facebook.com/thecapod. All right, back to the episode. Let's talk about Truly.
Yeah, let's talk about Truly.
You mentioned to me that Truly's going out on the road.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
That's wild. I think a lot of people are going to be pretty psyched about that.
Yeah, and we're looking to get our Fast Stories from Kid Coma re-released. It's actually out. It's out on streaming services now.
Yeah.
But we would like to get it re-released and repackaged and back out there. So we're working on that right now. We're working on getting new material recorded.
So you got Fast Stories from Kid Coma back from Capitol, like they're like
we don't own it yet, but we've got them to actually put it back on Spotify and the likes.
So you think it'll be a Capitol release?
No, we're talking to Pios. I can't really talk too much about it because it hasn't finalized yet. But we're trying to get it figured out somehow to get it re-released. So hopefully in the next year that's going to happen. But truly, I'm really excited because it's part of me is this is part of my legacy. I mean, it's like that record has been sitting dead, out of print. Hardly anybody knows about it.
It's such a good record.
It's unique. It's not like something that everybody's gonna like. It's got its own niche kind of deal, but it didn't see the light of day, and so I'm really excited that people are excited about it. This Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing is kind of like pushing my button to get it going, but it's all great timing. But it's exciting. It's truly music is super fun to play. For me, it's super satisfying. I love the songs. When I talk about taking yourself into a different world, I mean, for me, that's what truly is creating your own world.
And it's going to be the same three of you and Mark and Robert?
Mark is not coming out on tour. We got this guy, Jimmy Toman, playing drums, and we got keyboards coming out. So it'll be a 4-piece band, and I'm really excited.
So you're touring, but you're not going to have a reissue of the record at this juncture.
Eventually there will be, and we're working on new material. We'll probably be releasing some stuff as we go here.
Have you been talking to any labels about signing you for a new record?
We will see what happens.
I'm not asking you to say
trying.
who. I'm just
we'll see how this tour goes, basically. But our tour is titled Then, Today, and Tomorrow.
Okay. So what about Feeling You Up? Is that
we're playing songs off of that. Eventually, the first thing is getting Fast Stories re-released, and then we can see about getting some of our other back catalog released. But also, I want to work on new music. I mean, I don't want to be a dead old beat, and these are the times to write. I mean, it's a crappy world we're living in. It's the time to write. So. But I'm excited. We're playing the best we've ever played. It's kind of fun when you get older. It's easier to play the stuff that might have been more difficult when you're younger. Different approach, obviously a different approach to it.
How did this whole idea of
getting Truly back together happen?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a good 10 years. I think we last toured in 2015.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that recent.
We released some record music in 2017. So it's been a while since been on a tour. Part of it was we started kind of dealing with I don't know if we have enough time for the story, to tell you the truth. We
Yeah.
started kind of going, hey, we got, Fast Stories has been out of print. We don't even know
Hmm.
who owns it because it was released on Sub Pop on vinyl. It was released on Capitol on CD. So
Right.
we weren't even sure who owned the rights to it. And we had this guy working for us who was helping Bill Vipond, who was just kind of, he's a lawyer in real estate, but he kind of like really likes Truly and was kind of like, what's going on with you guys? I can't believe this, So he started working. Well, turns out he went to college with this guy, Dave Codified, who is the original lawyer. When Truly signed, we were with Codified and Rosemary Carroll. Rosemary Carroll was our lawyer.
I know them. She's a shark.
Oh, Rosemary's awesome, but she was married to Jim Carroll, and so that got a Jim Carroll Robert Roth connection going. They did a record
Okay.
together, so
Okay.
that was a really cool thing. But also the Codified Carroll, my aunt Marion, the one I was talking about, who signed us up to go to camp, she worked for Codified and Carroll.
Really?
Yeah. So she used to send me entertainment clipping lawyers to my mom and, stuff like that. She'd send these out, so she was so excited when I was in Soundgarden, my aunt. Anyway, so this Codified guy was a friend of Bill's. They ended up meeting and he said, oh yeah, I remember that band. Well, I know somebody who worked with me. She can take care of. So he got us in contact with this other lawyer, and she has dug in and figured out who owns what, and then got us kind of working towards getting our material back. But part of it was like, we don't want to just have our material to just re-release. We want to be a band again, kind of. So part of that was to kind of like, resurrect us to play music again.
And did you initiate that, or did Robert, or was it just
kind of about both of us at the same time? Because
really,
because
that's cool.
I'm sitting here going like, and this is before the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame happened. I'm just like, damn. I mean, like, I want to make sure that what I've worked on gets out there. And actually a lot of this goes back to the Asian Hall of Fame. When once I got in the Asian Hall of Fame, that's kind of when I started going like, I've got people I can actually have a voice here,
Right.
And there's something I can talk about. And that really did get me comfortable speaking in front of people. And I've got a few stories that go with that. And, but it's like, just get through the Asian Hall of Fame. That kind of got me kickstarted. Like, what am I doing with my life? I've got all this music that's kind of squandering here. I want to come back and play music again.
For the people listening or watching this, it might be worth mentioning that you have had a band up in Bellingham, Stereo Donkey, right?
Oh yeah, right.
So is that still also happening?
And it's still also happening. It's very difficult. I'm finding it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do these two things at once. And that was the weird thing, because Stereo Donkey's been playing all this time. We've actually been together in the 10 years that Truly hasn't been playing.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that.
Yeah, and so that we started playing in 2016, actually. So we've been playing for 10 years. And we're not trying to take over the world. That's why nobody knows about Stereo Donkey. We're kind of a local band, kind of keep to ourselves. But we have bigger interests.
I'll make sure there's a link just to the Stereo Donkey information in the the show notes, so people can click on it.
And Stereo Donkey's been super fun. It's a surf punk rock trio. We do a little exotica in there, just kind of, no vocals. It's fun having a band with no vocals. I gotta say, you just like get to crank it out. 3-piece band it's fun. I really enjoy that. We also have new releases coming out. We just recorded some material that we're gonna release 4 singles on streaming, and I think we're gonna try to get a little 7-inch vinyl. I think we can get 4 songs on a 7-inch here. So that's
they're short songs?
Yeah, short songs, yeah. A couple of 2-minute ones, so, yeah.
So have you and Robert started writing new material yet?
Yeah, we're working on new material. We've got some older stuff in the can that we've never released also, so there's stuff out there.
How do you feel about going back on the road and touring?
I'm a little a little worried about that, I gotta say, because we're playing the same clubs we played on our last tour 10 years ago. So, I mean, it's like we haven't gotten any bigger. And
you might be surprised.
But we're going to be sardine cannon in that van. It's going to be, we're covering a lot of territory, Daniel. I don't know if you looked at our schedule. We start in Seattle, we go to L.A., and then we head across to Chicago, to New York, back down into Nashville, and end in Texas. So
how many shows total?
I think it's about 16, 17 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. in
And
20 something days.
okay.
It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be like 4,000, 5,000 miles maybe.
Right. But it's like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah, 3
I mean,
solid weeks.
Skin
Yep.
Yard used to go out for 6.5 weeks at a time.
Yeah, I think I can handle 3 weeks over
And
6.
it was
Yeah.
intense.
Six
Brutal.
is brutal. 3 is brutal, but 6
Yeah.
is overly brutal. Yeah. But hey, man, we're bringing the music to people. That's my theme, you know.
Yeah.
We make music, Daniel.
Yeah.
People want to see it. If they don't want to see it, I'm sorry, but I'm bringing it to you.
I have a feeling that you
Uh,
might be surprised with how many people show up to see
Yeah.
you guys.
Truly's never been the biggest thing on the planet, so we'll see. But
Right.
you know, I love the
Right.
music. I love Truly music. I really do. I love where it takes me. I love
Let me ask you, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but between Soundgarden and Truly, musically two very different kind of bands.
Oh yeah,
And I know that, everybody always wants to know how could Hiro leave Soundgarden, and we don't even have to go there
yeah.
unless
We
you
don't
want
have
to.
to go there.
But obviously you left a band as things were starting to take off, and you ended up doing this other thing that is for you had longer legs.
Yeah.
So there's something about the music with Truly that has a different kind of resonance for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It was more of a music I could grow with. Like, you
Okay.
know what I think? I'm not going to, because Soundgarden, we could have done anything, obviously, right?
Right.
It was an aggressive macho thing, you know?
Uh-huh.
Soundgarden was very aggressive male,
Masculine.
very masculine. And that's what I like about Truly. It has a little bit more psychedelia to it. I love hard, heavy music, but I like
Uh-huh.
psychedelic music more than anything,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah.
kudos to Bob Weir, you know?
Yeah.
There we go.
A lot of people are bummed out of his passing, but I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
78 isn't, it's not young.
Yeah, but he was pretty. I mean, that's pretty. When you think of when I said, "Damn, he was only 78," I was,
Right.
that meant, and that was the thing. He was 16 or 17 when he joined that band, and
Right.
so.
I actually saw the Grateful Dead when I was like 6 or 7 years old because I was in the
Oh
Bay
yeah,
Area at the time, and
oh
my
yeah.
dad was a hippie and a member of this group called the Diggers, and yeah, I saw the Dead like at a show in the 60s at a place called the Family Dog. Back in the days when I was, this tall and had hair past my shoulders. About your length, about
Uh,
your length.
there you go. I'd like to also talk about something else I did with during COVID.
Okay, let's talk about it.
With Kate, my wife, and Brian Baldwin.
Right.
It's her project called No Time for Shade, and we did some covers and we did some of Brian's originals. And
Uh-huh.
but we also had Lou Alexander play fiddle on one of the songs,
Oh, yeah.
which kind of tied me back all the way back to Metropolis days. So that was kind of cool for me to be revisiting that, but also to work with Kate. My kid helped produce some of the stuff,
That's cool.
and just home studio work.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really cool. It's on SoundCloud. No Time for Shade. It's more kind of country, and we do a couple covers there too. But
Right.
that was kind of interesting. It's the first time I've really worked on recording with Kate, and so it was really a great experience. It was really fun.
That's cool.
I'm
That's
terrible
great.
at the recording gear though. It's like, as much as the stuff I've bought over the years to try to feel like I'm going to be great at recording and I'm going to get the greatest stuff. I was like, give me a producer.
I'm slowly inching towards building a little 10 by 12 in my backyard. And part of the idea is that I won't be doing this thing in my living room anymore. I want to get some multi-track stuff, and I have no idea if I'll be any good at any of that, but
Right. Cool.
I'll never know if I don't try. That's kind of my thought about it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Metropolis, and I'm pretty sure that's probably the time and place where you and I first met, like
Probably.
83 or 84. In my mind, I'm always like, no, it was when I was playing with Matt in Feedback, and we played with you guys at Morningtown Pizza. But I'm like, actually, no, it was before, because one of my favorite bands, local bands that I used to see at Metropolis, was The Altered.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have specific memories of like hanging out with you and being friends, but I'm sure we must have gotten to know
met
each
at
other
some
and
point.
talked.
Yeah.
Because I remember I talked to
Did you talk to Kim back then? Kim was the talkative one back then, and he always has been more than me.
he still is.
Yeah. Well, he would be the one who would go talk to you and meet you, and then like, hey, Hiro, I've met these new cool guys. You should check them out. Like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. So I'm sure it was probably Kim who talked to you first, then it was me, but
I guess when you were still in Soundgarden, me and Kim for a period of time used to hang out a lot. We would often after the show would walk around Capitol Hill for like an hour and a half, semi-drunk, and we would go to 7-Eleven when they had the 2 chili cheese dogs for $1, and we would always, Kim was always so fun to talk to because he's philosophical. I mean, his mind is like
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
insanely awesome, and the fact that he's a philosophy major is like, yeah, that kind of makes sense actually.
yeah, it does.
And we used to have these just idiotic arguments about who is bigger, Soundgarden or Skinyard.
Oh, that was on my list here,
Oh my
Daniel.
God.
I want to
Oh
talk
my
about
God.
that. I got my
Whatever.
list.
We're in
I
our
got
20s.
SG Skinyard written down here because
It's
remember those
embarrassing to
times of
talk about now.
and we'd go like, yeah, but we're 2 words and you're 1 word. But look at your poster says you're Skinyard 1 word because you're trying to copy us, and because we're 1 word, and then our post name would show up on a poster as 2 words, and you go like,
Right.
yeah, what do you guys don't even know if you're 1 word or 2 words. You got like.
I always thought that was just the funniest thing. It's like everybody always spelled Soundgarden wrong, and everybody always spelled Skinyard wrong. And it's
Yeah.
like, so we actually had a shirt that said Skinyard is 2 fucking words. Like
And
that said it on the back.
Kate has a cassette of yours that says the Skin Yard.
Oh, really?
3 separate words, 3 words.
No.
The Skin Yard. Yeah. And that cracked me up. When I saw that, I go, oh, that's fuel. That's fuel to the fire for my 2 words, 1 word thing with Daniel.
You got to take a picture of that and send it to me.
But it's so funny how petty we were when you think of
Yeah.
and
Well,
like you said, but look at our life. We were eating chili cheese dogs and going and getting 40,
Yeah, I mean,
40 ounces of beer.
I mean, we're talking what, 80, 85, 86, right?
Yeah, but that was cool because our bands, this is the thing that people probably don't know, is that Skinyard and Soundgarden were kind of brother-sister band. I mean, we were always kind of duking it out for our fans are, but we got your fans like us for that, but they like us for this, and but just kind of, but we had similar ideas in music, similar approaches, definitely different bands, but we were similar in
there was a lot of similarities,
and we were just we were all friends. I think that was we love Ben, and I guess that's the other thing, people don't understand this Mike, Jack, and Dino tie into the production and all that really helped Soundgarden become who they were.
I think the 2 bands had a lot of similarities in terms of the things we were experimenting with and exploring musically.
Yeah, we were listening to similar things, right? Yeah.
And like we played more with texture, we played more with time signatures.
Yep.
It wasn't just like, here's the riff, big dumb riff. I think in both cases there was a little more of a cerebral aspect to the music, which, I think
we were prog in our own ways. I mean, Soundgarden's a prog band. Nobody wants to ever say that, but they're kind of a prog band.
Sort of, kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, you know what? I've in the last several years, I've been sort of saying, when you say prog, and especially in the 80s, you get this picture. And really all it is it prog, or is it's just cerebral, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a little more thinking man's music and not just big dumb riff.
But big dumb riff sure helps.
Sure. Yeah. But if you can have a little aspect of both, I don't know. I mean, then again, it didn't help Skinyard's case to say we're not a prog band and then do a King Crimson cover.
There you
go. Oops. Hey, man, no shade and no shame. That's all I got to say.
There you go. No, but those were fun times. I think that for me, that was kind of, that was kind of our fun mutual competition with each other. And it was all friendly. That was the fun part of that.
It was competition to a point. I think where the competition mostly existed is in that so many of the shows that would come through, both bands were often in competition for who might get the show.
Yeah.
Who might get to play with Faith No More or Butthole Surfers or Husker Du. And over time, it eventually became really evident that the band that was going to win most of the time was going to be.
I'm sorry, Daniel.
But
we had a certain really beautiful singer that looked like a Greek god.
Oh my God. Still, yeah. And not just how he looked, but come on. Chris's voice is
Chris's voice and just his stage presence was amazing.
Everything.
I mean, I mean, that's the big hole. I mean, I'm serious, Daniel. That's a big talent. That's
I know.
Wow.
And when he passed, I think we were all at this point finally we're done with nobody else that means so much to us is going to die. Like
Mm.
the last two being Mark Lanigan and Chris Cornell, both just like hit me in ways that I didn't expect because I thought that was all behind me, behind us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is still a big hole, you know.
Yeah. Well, you've been through you lost Ben. I mean, you've been through the same thing, you know.
True.
And boy, he went young too. Believe me, right? Damn.
Oh yeah, he was. I'm thinking maybe he's in his 40s. I have to look it up. I don't even remember. I think it was 2009.
2000. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't
So I
it?
think that would have been like 48 because I think he and I were kind of the same
We're
age.
age. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We lost a lot of people to a certain degree, you know, due to a lot of hard living, but not entirely.
Yep. Right.
And I guess if nothing else, it's, you know, a cautionary tale, especially the age we are all now that like,
Oh.
yeah, take care of yourself. You only got one body, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I take a lot better care of myself than I did back then, believe me.
I mean, next year will be 10 years of no drinking for me, so that's a great thing.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
I commend you on that one. What else is on my list here? Oh, yeah.
I'm cracking up that you have a list because.
Oh, yeah, yeah, isn't that good? See, I'm a geek. I get paid for this thing. No, the other thing I want to talk, you know, like musically, I've been doing like the other thing was, we talked about the Asian Hall of Fame. The Asian Hall of Fame kind of kickstarted me to play music again because
right.
I mean, I don't know if you know how this all happened, is that they were looking for, they knew that I was in Soundgarden, so that Asian and the Kim thing in Soundgarden was part of it. So but Chris Novoselic, he had met some of the people that were involved in the Asian Hall of Fame, and they were looking for musicians to play in Seattle. And so like, well, Hiro's Asian, shit. So I got this call to play with and this was tough. I was playing with Danny Seraphin, the drummer from Chicago, doing these jazz songs. And then and Chris shows up with an accordion.
Okay.
So they want him to play bass, but he shows up with an accordion. And anyway, so I'm learning these songs, like he gave me charts and stuff like that. And I've never played off of charts before, but thanks to Kate again for teaching me how to read music and to read charts and to follow fake books and stuff like that. So I'm learning these things and then I go to this rehearsal with these guys. They are so good. They're all studio musicians. And the band leader's name is Ed Roth. He's a keyboard player.
No relation to Robert.
No relation to Robert. But he's a Brazilian Jewish guy who's just an amazing keyboard. He's playing with Robbie Krieger, the Doors guitarist. So he fills in for Ray Manzarek now. So anyway, but playing with Ed and Danny Seraphin, and I was barely holding up my side of the fort, man. That was some scary times.
I don't even think I knew that you actually had played music as part of that.
Yeah, and so that was my start, and then by the next year they're like, Hiro, we'd like to nominate you to induct you, and so then I got inducted, and I'm still playing in the band. But I'm getting more. It's like part of this is like I'm gonna learn how to play with these cats, man. Because like I went in there with palms sweating and like I could barely, I was so nervous, like because like these guys are good. I can't do the stuff, like.
Well, I spent studio dudes. Yeah,
I spent a good 2 years of like just working up my chops, like kind of like trying to learn how to play his songs and so I did a couple of sit-ins with Ed on some of his jazz gigs. I have played with Robbie Krieger at one of the Asian Hall of Fame events. Yeah, one of the Asian Hall of Fame events. I got to play.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Does he still play with a coin? I know he used to, instead of a pick, he used to use a coin.
I think he uses mostly he's kind of a finger picker kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an interesting player. Still going good and playing well for his age, man. He's really cool. He's a really sweet guy. Really like him. Anyway, so that's some of the thing that just the Asian Hall of Fame kind of kickstarted me going like, I love music, and I want to do my thing again. Kind of got me and just gave me the confidence again. Cause I kind of, I don't know, for me, I'd kind of been out of the limelight for so long. I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's like,
dude, you want to talk about out of the limelight?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There you go.
I've played one show since being in Skinyard.
Oh, wow.
Skinyard broke up in 1991. So
you've played one show since then? Wow.
Yes.
Now, how about you? Are you antsing to do it again or how do you feel about it?
We don't have enough time for that. But And if you check out some of the previous episodes, this conversation does come up a lot. And it's like, yeah, I do think about playing music a lot, but I don't think about being in a band. Like
Yeah.
I would play locally and maybe go as far as, LA or Tucson, maybe for an occasional show. But like, I do not want to tour.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like I'm more interested in creating music. I know that you and I talked at one point about doing some kind of long distance thing, couple of songs with two basses. I
Right.
have this idea of actually doing a record with a bunch of different songs where I play with different bass players. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
And maybe we get together in studios, but it's just a record. Like you can't really tour it. And I kind of like that. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm going to try to build this little studio in the back. And if that happens, that may lead to
There
that
you go.
very project. We'll see.
Why not?
We'll see. If I do it, you'll know because I'll be reaching out to you.
Okay. I like that one.
Okay.
I'd love to do that.
So we're winding down on time. So let me first ask you, when does the Truly tour start?
Starting in Portland on Thursday, March 5th, and then heading back to Seattle, and then San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, Denver, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland. I
Okay.
can't name all the towns, but
You got most of them.
got most of them. Excited.
Okay. When's your last show? What
I
city
think
is
it's
your
March
last show?
29th in Dallas, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I will make sure to include a link in the show notes.
Oh, yeah, right.
for this as
Excellent.
well.
That'd be awesome.
So, okay,
Yeah.
let's wrap things up with a final question.
Okay.
You've been doing this for a long time. I met you through music, and the whole reason why we're here together talking about it again has everything to do with music. So, do you see music as being kind of part of who you are for the rest of your life in terms of what you do creatively? And if not, what would you see creatively as being the thing you might do instead?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Well, obviously, at different parts of my life, music wasn't the big thing, right? No, but now I kind of view my music is the one thing that always is driving me, but also curiosity. I got it isn't just music, just new ideas.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to me, that's the whole being curious about the world or what's going on or whatever. Just there's always something new to learn. But that's music
Sure.
for me is that avenue because it's a practice that I've done for long enough that it's very satisfying to keep exploring. So yeah, no, music is always going to be important to me. And whether or not like I like what you're talking about, just doing stuff from home and just creating music. Stereo Donkey is way more like that. We kind of just do the music on our own terms, play when we feel like we're ready to do it, and we're not going to go try to tour the world or whatever like that kind of thing. But we wouldn't mind playing some shows somewhere else, obviously, but it's not our main goal.
That's not what drives you.
And making the music is really what drives me.
Right.
But I really like playing in front of people. I really like, I like the small clubs. I like playing in a bar with 50 people who just love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what Stereo Donkey's like. We're not a huge band, so when we play a small place, it's just about bringing fun energy. Especially in these trying times, believe me. Give people a place to just forget about the world for a while. And that's what music's for. In a lot of ways, right?
I think so.
Music, I think, will always be part of my life, Daniel.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for being able to create without the pressure of having to do something.
That there is. Sometimes pressure is good, though. I mean, Truly's under some pressure to record.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I got to say, sometimes you need that pressure to say, hey, we got to get something going here.
Okay.
And that is good. And, and being our age and saying, like, what am I going to do? It's good to have some kind of like, hey, I got something to push me still. Don't want to just crawl up into a hole and wither and die.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Creative Asylum. A quick favor before you go. If you liked this conversation, please be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Tuesday at 10. You can find us on Instagram and on YouTube at Creative Asylum CA. That's Creative Asylum and the letters CA. Our website is thecapod.com. And our Facebook is the same, facebook.com/thecapod. Until next week, when we'll have a new conversation with another creative disruptor, stay creative in life. and at work.